All right, welcome everyone to Watchman Privacy. We have a bit of a somber episode here. I'm joined by three other people actually right now. And we are talking about a scam that happened. And the people who are the victims of the scam are with us right now. It's a Bitcoin scam, and we're going to uncover some of what happens in this. This is a story about evil. It's about how clever scammers are. It's a story about mistakes, sure, and how we can improve our own Bitcoin and overall cybersecurity. It's about tracking down scammers to an extent, and then hopefully about redemption and generosity and a coming together of people in this community. We're going to start off by introducing the people in the audience here, and then we're going to kind of go step by step about what this charity was that was scammed, how the people were scammed, and maybe talk a little bit about what we can do to replenish those funds and also to improve our own Bitcoin security. So let's first of all start by introducing the people in the chat with me. I'm joined as always by Urban, who is my companion here on these journeys. We're going to get to Urban in a moment. Urban and I do all sorts of things related to Bitcoin security, and we also do tracking of Bitcoin transactions, which was useful in this particular instance. We're also joined by Alejandra Guajardo. And maybe, Alejandra, you could start by giving us just a little bit of your background. Don't have to talk about the charity or the scam at this moment. I just want people to know, just independent from all that, who you are.
Hello, I'm Alejandra Guajardo. And first of all, thank you so much for this interview because I know it's going to help a lot of people so they don't get scammed and they can be think twice before making a decision. I wore the Bitcoin costume at Miss Universe. I was Miss Universe El Salvador in 2022. And after that, I started my Bitcoin journey. I started to do education about Bitcoin in public schools with little kids. I started to be more into the Bitcoin community in conferences, being a speaker, having Bitcoin business related, doing marketing, publicity. And well, right now, I have a project that it's called the Bitcoin Bookshelf. We do bookshelves in the form of B of Bitcoin. We donate it to national libraries. We already did to the one in El Salvador, full of Bitcoin books. And that's one of my main projects that I'm working now. And well, this is something that I have since a lot of years with my family. That is my natural products, tinctures that we grow in our ranch, and everything is organic, handmade, no pesticides, no chemicals. And that is what I do at the moment. And I always try to be in new projects and to create new things, and also try in any way that I can to help the community.
So I'm also joined by Ali Reza Zamani, and we'll call you Ali. That's what you said I could call you. Could you please introduce yourself and where you're coming from?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Ali Reza Zamani. I lived in Toronto, Canada, and I'm still there. And I'm looking to sort of change my careers a little bit. I was having my fiat job before, and I'm trying to move away from that and sort of become a content creator. So as a result, I created Ratio Freedom, a YouTube channel that I focus on stories and biographies of people that have dedicated their life to freedom, whether it's something has to do with financial freedom or something that has to do with athletics and or a better lifestyle, a better way of life. So that's what I'm trying to focus on at the moment. And as I mentioned, my channel is Ratio Freedom.
Urban, just so people can attach your name to your voice, just say hello, please, and then something very clever.
Yeah, hello. I am Herben, and probably for the people familiar with Watchman Privacy, they already heard my voice. But for those tuning in, I am technical advisor and help with all the technical details on solving hacks and things like this. I'm a cybersecurity consultant, and I also develop video game in my free time.
Perfect. So, in my understanding of the story, and we're going to get into it, is that Ali was in the process of donating to a charity. And here we'll mention the charity. This is the House of Life charity. It's an El Salvador charity. And this is something that Alejandra is a part of. And so Ali was making a donation when his funds happened to disappear. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But maybe Alejandra, you could jump in here for a moment. What is the House of Life charity that is kind of at the root of this discussion?
I been working with them a few months ago when I met Bob, that is the founder of the House of Life in El Salvador. I immediately wanted to work with him. What he does is he rescue women that were raped, that doesn't have anywhere to live, that they don't have any hope in life, and he gives them a home where they can raise their kids, where they can uh, give give birth in a secure place to their babies. And he currently has around 8 girls in this house that I went. They live with the best quality of life. You go, you feel all the love. All of them have 1 to 2 babies, and these girls are 15 years old, 14 years old. They're underage, all of them. And also, he has another house only of boys, of little boys, that also were they are orphans. They're orphans. So he takes care of all of these little kids, of these young moms. He provides everything. He's literally the dad. So I help this charity to bring funds because now he accepts Bitcoin. And actually, we went to the Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas in May to talk about this charity. So I've been a few months with them, and what I do is I try to get as many funding as I can. And I I told Ali about this charity, and he wanted to donate with other friends. He told me, so they, all of them, his friends and Ali, gathered some money, and he told me he was going to make a generous donation. And well, that's it. I think the rest Ali can say.
Yes, and I'm going to bring Ali here in a moment. So, this House of Life charity, Urban and I have made a donation to get this started. It's a Geyser Funds charity. We're going to have links in there. Let's raise some of these funds that were lost. You've heard from Alejandra what this charity does. It's a fantastic cause. So let's see if we can raise some funds. There's not going to be any advertising from us in this episode. We're going to direct any of your sats that you were going to be sending for boosts or whatever. Feel free to send it to this House of Life charity. So, Ali, why don't you walk us through how you got interested in this charity and then talk to us a little bit about how this scam actually happened to you?
Yes, I was very interested in what Alejandra was doing, especially with her contacts and her work with the charity. I saw the at the Bitcoin conference when she made the presentation and everything about the charity, and also I have a couple of friends in El Salvador who have supported the charity, and I know them very closely, and through them I just did some research on my own and found it to be a great cause, and I really like to support the country of El Salvador in any way, shape, or form that I can. And Bob seems to be a very generous person who is doing pretty much God's work at this rate, you know. And one of the other reasons why I wanted to donate to this charity was because when you make a donation to various organizations, you really don't know what's happening to your funds. And this charity gave me that peace of mind where if I make a donation to, they would receive the funds, and I know that it will be in good hands and with people who need the money the most. And that's why I decided to be a part of this cause and try to help out as much as I can.
And then as we get into the actual scam involved in this, I'm going to leave it to you to say what you're willing to say. Obviously, the more you say, the more we can use this as a lesson to kind of unpack. But from the best of your memory, and start from the beginning, what happened and how did you lose your funds?
Yes, so it was the end of July, and I wanted to send the money over to El Salvador, and I wanted to send it in US dollars. So at the beginning, it was ambiguous what route we have to take. So I had some contacts that they specialize in Bitcoin exchange for clients, especially institutional clients. So they weren't able to help me with my transaction. But one of the people at the organization that they mentioned a person's name that they could perhaps help me with the conversion of the funds. And I got into a call with them. And first, everything was pretty normal. Everything was standard because this is not my first time doing something like this. I've had some experience, and I don't know. Everything seem to be fine. Everything was going well, and the person insisted that I prove that I hold the funds that I claim to hold. So I tried to walk him through like tools such as mempool.space or other websites that read the blockchain, and you can prove that you have funds making a small transaction from a certain wallet. So I sent a very small transaction from the wallet that holds those coins to I offered to make a small transaction. I think I did it like internally to my other wallet or something at the beginning, but he insists, and I shared a link with mempool.space and other blockchain websites, trying to really educate him how the blockchain works or Bitcoin works on the ledger side. But he seemed to be very out of touch with those terminologies and knowledge, and I didn't know what to do. So he kept insisting like um, that I download this third party wallet to show him, because that's how he usually does it with his clients, and that's what he's familiar with. And he suggested that I download Atomic Wallet, something I've never heard of before. So I tell him that, listen, man, I do not get myself involved in any of these wallets, especially mobile. I don't feel comfortable with sending large amounts to a mobile wallet, and I tell him how I use only Bitcoin only wallets for Bitcoin transactions. I suggested that we could use a an account, like make an account on Blue Wallet or the Blockstream Green app, but he kept insisting that no, those, and surprisingly, he had a point. Like I couldn't imagine you're talking to someone who doesn't know anything. He's like, "Oh, Blue Wallet has only 100 reviews. Atomic has 1,500 reviews." So, I looked at it and I didn't scroll down for a second to see the actual reviews, because the app had like almost a 5-star review from 1,500 people. So, I at the beginning when I started, I used to do all these altcoin and shitcoineries and whatever. So I used to have those kind of applications at some point, and they were fairly safe. Namely, I had the Trust Wallet, I think, at the time, like that I was, holding other coins. So I wasn't really afraid, but it was just so much against my principles of going and downloading something that I'm not comfortable with. And I told him again many times that this is something that I don't do. I've promised myself a long time ago I haven't done it, but he kept insisting, and he guaranteed that if something happens, he will refund me. And then he opened up his bank account on his phone, showing me like how much money he has. I wasn't really paying attention because that's not the point. I don't care how much money you have. But if you guarantee that if something happens to my fund, you can refund me, then that gives me assurance. So I don't know. I told myself I'll just download the wallet, I'll do a small test transaction, and I did. And then I also tried to show him that, hey, the funds went to here. This is the blockchain. This is the transaction ID. You can check it came from this wallet. But he wouldn't budge. So then I went ahead and sent the large amount, and automatically the wallet received the funds, not settled, but it was in the midst of um, confirmation, the first confirmation on the network. And I had the network with me on the side. I was checking. So as soon as the transaction went to the wallet, automatically it was sent to a different wallet. And again, I would like to emphasize, I made a small transaction and I successfully withdrew that transaction to my personal wallet. That's why I had some sort of a peace of mind that they should be fine for, like, just maybe keeping it there for 3 confirmations and then sending it out or something. So as soon as the money hit the wallet, before it was confirmed or before Atomic Wallet gave me access to my own funds, it was sent to another wallet. And then I just saw the money just move through 10 different wallets in an instant without any confirmations. It was really bizarre. I've never thought that could happen. I always thought if you send money from your wallet and you specify the wallet that you're sending to, those funds have to be received by that wallet. It has to settle there before they can be used. But I don't know what happened there. And it was just
This was you didn't click on a link. You actually went to your Apple App Store and you found Atomic Wallet. Is
exactly
that
that.
right?
Atomic Wallet on the App Store. It was one of the first ones. I try to check as much as I can, the reviews, the developer or whatever, and everything looked normal.
And so I don't think anybody in this call is going to be blaming you, especially when we get to the end and realize the adversary that is likely behind this. But maybe Urban, you could just jump in here. We're going to get more into the details here in a moment, but just give a brief explainer. What do you think was happening with Ali's wallet here? What do you think happened? What's going on here?
That is like the great mystery of the story. This is very unusual, and assuming you described everything exactly how it happened, and the reason why I say that is sometime in a panic we might forget some details or things like that. But assuming the most likely explanation is that the adversary created a fake wallet with some fake reviews and basically made it sure that for a few hours or a few days it was the top Apple Store, downloaded version. That is, I think, the likely scenario, because I cannot really see, especially that there was no link that was clicked. There is no action that are asked from the user except going into the Apple Store and downloading. Another more darker scenario is that the wallet itself is compromised. And if you download the official wallet, then it's compromised. But I would not go as far. And I think if this was the case, we would see way more people. Although the wallet that was suggested has a history of having a lot of major issue. And I mean, personally, we never heard it in a good light. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there could have been some compromise, even if I think it's unlikely. Yeah, what is scary in your story is when you described to us a few days ago when we had the initial discussion is I felt I could have been the victim. A lot of I mean, you read the reviews, you check it quickly, it seems legit, and you download. And this is what makes it very, very scary, in our opinion.
Because this is I can see it on the mempool.space that I sent the money to the wallet and it moved before the confirmation. So it actually got confirmed in another wallet. That's obviously there for everybody to see, That's not something that thought it happened or it happened to, but the transaction settled.
What people need to understand is when you send a Bitcoin transaction, it's basically you sign like a letter or like to your bank to release the fund to this next address. And then anyone that received the funds can then create a new transaction. And this transaction won't be confirmed yet, but you can chain them together, even if it's not confirmed. And the reason why this is actually good is because you don't need to wait confirmation to send the fund to someone else. And in 90% of the case, this is very good. Let's say you send some money to someone and they need it immediately to pay something or to pay an employee or whatever, they could immediately send it and the person will see it in his wallet. It will still be pending, but it will work. And this also allows you to spend money even if it's not yet confirmed. So it's for efficiency purpose.
What is the feature called? Sorry to interrupt, but what is this process? What is the terminology for when you make this sort of a setup for yourself?
Yeah. So there is no terminal. It's just allowed. There is nothing preventing it. But usually you could see it called as child pay for parents, which usually is the other way. The parent pays for the children. But in this case, it's basically the children transaction will pay the fee for the parent, and both of them will be confirmed. That's usually how it's called. And miners who might prioritize those transactions because it gets confirmed faster. So for them, it's also a good. And what you describe is a textbook scam. You send it, they obviously had the key somehow, and they immediately wiped out the wallet and send it somewhere else.
I'd like to add this for the audience because this is something else that when I was trying to understand the situation and doing some research. So another way that these guys can compromise your wallet is, let's say, um, it's a phishing attack, not a wallet compromise. I guess, please correct me, I'm not so technical with this, but let's say I downloaded the wallet and I went to write my 12 words on a piece of paper or something, then they could see it, the 12 words, and then compromise my wallet. When I downloaded the application, I didn't even bother with the 12 words because I knew that these wallets are like, whatever. They're just for a bunch of, like, for whoever wants to do whatever with their money, but not for me, certainly. So I didn't believe that Atomic Wallet's 12 words really mean anything. So I didn't even bother opening that to back up my wallet or anything. The wallet was compromised from the beginning. And the transaction that I made was maybe less than 10 minutes after I created the wallet.
I will even be more brutal than that. There are robots scanning the blockchain looking for known addresses that have been hacked in the past that the seed are public. And as soon as you make the mistake of reusing those seed words, it just hunt down and get all the money. That is something. I mean, the blockchain is public, so there is nothing to prevent you from doing this, right? So most likely the seed was known before. And what's unfortunate, again, I don't want to blame the victim, obviously, but I wish you had backed up the seed, because that could have helped us with forensic to understand exactly what happened. But I understand. I will, but I will add one thing, and that is important. If you send more than a few $100 and you do not back up, even if it's for temporary reason, what if your iPhone or Pixel or whatever phone you're using breaks and then doesn't work? You would be equally screwed. So I think even when it's just for like, first of all, I do not recommend to install wallets that someone else recommends you, especially in something like this. But if it happens, always back up the seed phrase, no excuses. Because even if there was no scam in the whole process, if you lose the phone or something bad happen in between, that would be an equally bad thing. So that is more for the listener. I do not blame you. I understand where you're coming from, obviously.
Right, right. And it's a situation, and this is how they get you. It's a moment where you're working with somebody, they're getting impatient, they ask you to download something, you go to the app store, it looks legitimate. It's, that's kind of how they get you. So we're dealing with a very talented adversary here. Now, okay, so that's the details. And I want to ask both you, Ali and Alejandra, what was the response when this happened? You reached out to Atomic Wallet, and this is part of a tweet that you put out about this particular topic, and that plays a big role, their response. Maybe we can start with Alejandra. What was the response of Atomic Wallet to this situation?
So when Ali told me this, I was so angry, and I looked at the webpage of Atomic, and I said, they have a Twitter account, of course, an X account. I sent a message. Of course, they didn't reply. And then I saw that it says our team. And in our team, it was Charlie Schramm and Konstantin something. So they have, both of them have their X and LinkedIn. So I went to LinkedIn, I sent a message to Charlie, to Konstantin, no luck. I went to X and sent them a message to both. No, actually to Konstantin, you are not, you cannot send message. He doesn't have the option. So I couldn't, I just followed him. And to Charlie Schramm, I sent a message on X too. I sent an email to Charlie. I added him on Instagram. I sent him a message on Instagram. No luck. They never replied, of course. And then when I saw on Instagram the mutual friends of Charlie and I saw that we had a mutual friend that is a very good friend of mine, Tone Base. So I called Tone and I told him about the situation, and he was like, yeah, I will of course help you, because actually Tone, he donated also to this charity when he saw me and the charity speak in the conference in Las Vegas, and he was a donator. So he said, like, I was a donator, so I will help you to get this money back. And then he messaged Charlie, and he helped me privately try to get these funds, no. So we did a Telegram group chat. That's the screenshots that I posted on my X, on the tweets. People say, like, oh, there in the group it says 3 members, but of course they don't know this story, right? Like, those 3 members were Charlie Schramm, Tone Base, and I. And I was Tone told everything to Charlie. Then they added me to the group. I told Charlie, and Charlie told me that he had direct contact with Konstantin. That I think he's the founder. Apparently, he's the founder of Atomic. So Charlie told me, okay, I will add Konstantin to this group. And days passed, and he never added him. And then I sent another message like, hey Charlie, do you have any news with Konstantin? And then he said, yeah, here's the email. He sent me the email of Konstantin. And he told me, just email everything with screenshots, whatever. And I was like, okay. I sent an email of everything that happened. And no, I didn't have any response for like 2 weeks maybe of the email with Constantine. So uh, since Charlie was the direct contact and he was actually speaking to Constantine and he is part of the team of Atomic Wallet, well, I was like messaging Charlie and asking him for help. Like, hey, can you please tell Constantine, like, can he at least reply to my email? Like, this money is for a charity. Like, how can you steal this money for literally these girls? And literally, what Charlie told me was, "I am sorry for your loss." And when he told me that, I was like, "For my loss? I'm sorry, but this is not a loss. Like, they literally stole my money." And to be honest, I was a little bit disappointed by him because I know everything that Charlie has passed through all of these years. And I met people that has passed through difficult situations in their life, and after that they just want to help, like they've been there, so they want to do good now, for for the world. And Charlie having this big influence in the Bitcoin community and being friends with Constantine, he could have done something, but he didn't. He only sent me the email. This guy Constantine never replied. I contact again Charlie, and he just told me, "I'm sorry for your loss." I was like, wow, this is very disappointed of a Bitcoiner, like having this big influence, having the capability of helping a lot of people, not only in the Bitcoin community, but around the world, and you are answering me this. No, I cannot do this. So I decided to make it public so my community can be aware of this, so they cannot have this mistake, because also this wallet is in the app store. Like, how can this be in the app store? Like, anyone can download it. And then after I made the post, there was another person, anonymous, that had this Twitter only about hate for Atomic, that stole 1 Bitcoin from him or from her 2 years ago. And he was so pissed. He was tweeting from 2 years ago, since now, a lot about Atomic and stuff. So I found out that because I did this tweet, that I can have a voice for all of these people that also lost money in these wallets. And well, it's and not only this guy, like many other reach out saying, I lost my money on Atomic and they never answer me. I sent an email and it was only generic responses. So yeah, my plan is to take away this app, like, why is it on the app store? So yeah, this happened. Of course, Tonebase was a very important person for this because he helped me a lot. But well, Charlie was not of a lot of help, even though I was expecting a lot from him, since he has an influence and since he knows the founder of Atomic. But well, maybe these people never change, so yeah, it was pretty sad, pretty disappointed, and well, it is what it is.
Well, listen, that's a heartbreaking story to listen to, but hopefully people can learn from it. And I see you end your tweet, by the way, by saying that if you're serious about Bitcoin, stick with trusted Bitcoin only wallets. And then you list a few of them. These wallets are secure, focused, open source, and built with self custody and user protection in mind. I see here on the list here my favorite wallet, Sparrow Wallet, which people can download for their PC or MacBook, verify the software, and then go from there. That is obviously a big lesson to be taken from this, is that you only want to be using a very select amount of Bitcoin wallets. But appreciate you sharing that, Alejandra. And Ali, is there, I don't know if you had any interaction with Atomic, or is there anything else you would like to add about the dynamics of this before we throw it to Urban for some of the tracing that he did?
Yes, after the loss, I immediately emailed their support email, and I was not hoping to get any response from them, but I saw it as my duty to do all I can. And not being a big influencer like Alejandro, there's my hands are tied to how much I can do. So it's just like maybe sending an email. And surprisingly, they did reach out pretty quickly. I think the first, I have the emails if you guys would like to see. But the first one reply was the automated one saying we're a trusted, safe, the decentralized wallet and all that crap that everybody knows now. And then I immediately responded, sending them the two transaction IDs, one for coming in, one for leaving, and a screenshot of the money that was sent during the confirmation. And I think somebody real answered me saying, again, this is a decentralized wallet. Your 12 words are basically what you have. And if you, whatever, like, we can't do anything for you. And then I responded again. I said, no, this is clearly a compromise. Can you please take a look at it? It's very urgent. It's for a donation. Blah blah blah. He just responded with the same thing, and I felt like I'm talking to a brick wall. I think we said it. Just the emphasis on how uh, Charlie is having like tweets that he's donating or like helping community, but the fact that he's involved in a project that stole over $100 million worth of money from people. I mean, I think at this point he speaks for himself, and there's a lot of hate towards him from the community. But just my question is, why would you why would you go and be a part of that, like that team, why would you do that when there's so many good people making honest open source software to protect people? And we're trying to fight a bigger cause here. We're trying to fight for our soul here, not to lose that. And then this guy is creating a fight within the community and taking advantage of people's lack of knowledge, because the scams in crypto are truly scary. I mean, yes, they represent a small amount of money in global assets or whatever, but this is just really, really terrible. And it happens to the worst people that they really don't deserve any of it. And it's just, why are you doing this? I would like to ask you.
And yeah, like when you reach out to a wallet, like let's not have any illusions here. The way that the blockchain works, the way that cryptocurrencies work is that this is very permanent stuff, right? So it's not as if one is going to get one's funds back, but you would hope that a wallet would help you explain what happened, reevaluate their own security practices, right? Does somebody have a fake wallet on the App Store? Is their wallet compromised? Maybe they could help you track the funds, something of this sort. You would expect a wallet to be able to do something like that, and it seems like that was not done. Let's move, though, into our own tracking of these funds, because that is something that Urban and I do. And it is a way of having, if not getting the funds back, though sometimes you can, if it goes to a public exchange, you can contact that exchange. But tell me a little bit, Urban, about how we track the funds and what we discovered.
Every time we read a report of someone losing money, we do our own kind of like, we try to understand what happened. When they announce it publicly on Twitter or in other social media, we just like quickly run through our own stuff. And the reason is very simple. In the Bitcoin course, we have a list of every single way you can lose Bitcoin. And if there is a new one we need to be aware of, because we want to add it into our list of ways people lose money. So in that case was no different in this regard. And just to give you an idea how the blockchain can become very transparent, I know, Ali, that you try to censor some of the transaction, but in less than 5 minutes, by using the right tools, we could just very easily get all the transaction that happened. We could collaborate that it was roughly the same time frame, which was last month, in July. So this way we have a good idea of like the time frame, how much money was involved. Maybe the first lesson is like, if you announce a hack and you're not ready to share the financial detail of it, be aware of what you share, because it's not that hard. There is very advanced tools. So that's what we did. And then when you contacted us, we actually went deeper, and we also asked someone we know that does this in a very professional way, what they could look. So we could see two clusters, two main clusters. So as soon as the money was stolen, they were, like the transaction chain starts. So like money gets sent to another address, etc. And there were two interesting aspects. There were the small cluster, which is like a small amount of other transaction around this, and then a bigger one. And what we found, with the help of this expert that works for us from time to time, is that basically most of the money went to Binance, most likely, and then, I mean, further tracing would require, obviously, to have access to the data on Binance. Now, I will add a big disclaimer. Blockchain analysis is very, it's a science, but it's not an exact one, and you should not draw any conclusion just based on a graph, because sometimes the reality can be very different, as we have seen with some of the people who got in trouble because of this.
We're talking about probability.
But most likely the money went through Binance. There is also, in the smaller cluster, I think it went through KuCoin, which is another exchange, and this one is based in China, I think, likely.
Yeah, it's a Seychelles-based cryptocurrency exchange founded in China. Seychelles, famous tax haven. Continue.
We follow the funds, and then it's a matter, like, when you're like this, what you try is you try to get to a known entity, and that is the most important, because if you look at something like mempool.space, you just get like addresses and things. And with things like the KYC data, the data from exchange, the data that people share, like people say, "Oh, I was victim of a hack. This is the address where the money went," etc. In those blockchain forensic research tool, they will show you, and this is how we were able to know that it went into Coinbase. Now, most likely what happened, even with the KYC data, is probably a money mule in Coinbase, either like willingly or unwillingly, basically acted as an intermediate to transfer the fund to someone else outside of Binance.
And a money mule is somebody who has a fully legal KYC identity who has been compromised by somebody in some way, and the funds go through that person's legitimate account, and as it gets used for this illicit reason.
One sad thing about money mules is that usually it's victim of scam themselves. So what happens is they get victim of scam, they lose a lot of money, and then they get, like, the scammer, they also share their data. They know victims, they know people who are like kind of weak. I hate to say it this way, but and then they will continue the abuse. So what they do in this case is they contact and they say, "Hey, we have an opportunity for you. We do crypto investing. open a Coinbase account for us, or open a Binance, or open whatever, and we're gonna help you. And then they they do the KYC process, and they get money sent. And the guys say, yeah, we're doing crypto investing. Send us back the money and take a cut. And this is how money mules get recruited. And because you're yourself victim of a scam, you're often ashamed. You are less likely to report it to the exchange or to the authorities, because you are afraid. Like, there is a lot of shame when you are a victim. And now you think it's a good way to, like, make it whole again, to recoup some of the funds, and you basically become one of the cog into this machine of, basically, of, like, this criminal machine. So this is how money mule. But there are, I mean, I will say this: there are money mules that know exactly what they are doing, and they get paid, and they have no issue with it.
What did you conclude from your tracing of the blockchain? What conclusion did you come to, besides that it went through Binance and KuCoin, most likely, right? Probability. And these exchanges are, interestingly, a way of blessing crypto. It basically blesses it. It makes it so that those coins are not suspicious moving forward. And then you can go into any other number of coins or fiat from that point in time. But what was the kind of conclusion of the blockchain tracing, Urban?
Yeah, so I mean, after that point, it's hard to know what happened without the data from the exchange. What I will say to people is, if this happens to you and you want a reasonable, like, chance of getting further, you should contact, like, law enforcement as soon as possible. And of course, depending on your country, you have to be careful, because corruption and all of those things. But the problem in our case is this happened, weeks ago, if not months. So by the time we do the analysis, the funds are long gone, and the exchange has very little chance to do anything. And that is a bit the unfortunate aspect of this.
What some people do is, if they contact law enforcement and then they approach one of these exchanges, that can get you to the front of the line. It can get investigated. Potentially, you could get your funds back going through law enforcement. Sometimes you will have to go through a law firm that specializes in crypto analytics. They have their own tools. They can present all the graphs. But the truth is, if you take that route, it can be quite costly. Just the legal fees to do that. You guys told us the amount that was stolen. It would have completely wiped out. Like, it wouldn't have even been worth it, considering the legal costs of doing this. So that's the sad reality of that situation. Now, the adversary here, and again, this is probability based, but it seems like a common culprit, one of the big players on the scene of crypto scams, and that is the Lazarus Group. And this is a cyber attack group from North Korea, most likely run by the North Korean government. It's basically one of the last groups of people on earth that you want after you, scamming you. And this is an adversary with all sorts of resources. Yes, they could create a fake app. Yes, they could infiltrate the App Store. Yes, they could send physical people to physical places to infiltrate. So it's a supreme adversary, honestly, and they're behind a ton of crypto scams. We talked about our $1.5 billion Ethereum heist. Lazarus Group was behind that as well. And so that's kind of what happened to these funds.
Yeah, it's a probability, but it's most like, I mean, some of the wallet that we saw adjacent to this hack were associated with this group. But you should always take it with a grain of salt. I think the biggest lesson there is, if someone is trying to go into a path that you find odd, abort, it's rare that, like, it's really rare that you need to send money or funds immediately. And you should always be cautious, especially with big amounts of money. And what I will also add, we had this discussion before we started recording, but I think I can bring it, is make sure that all the software you're using, especially your phone, and if you're dealing with cryptocurrency, is updated and running the latest hardware. And that is one of the things that I cannot stretch enough. Like, yes, we hate planned obsolescence. Yes, we hate that we have to change a phone every 2-3 years. But in the case of cryptocurrency, you have an even higher threat model. You have people coming after you who can literally manipulate ratings on the Play Store, who can create and deploy fake apps, who can make you install all sorts of things. And they are professional at it. They are very good. They know exactly what they are doing. And um, if you're not prepared for this, then you might just be like, you might become a victim. And the thing is, when you get targeted, you do not choose. Like, it's a unilateral decision. If you become the target, you do not have a say in that. You're the target. You have to defend yourself. There's no other way. So if you're dealing in cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, it doesn't matter which one, Ethereum, Bitcoin, whatever, and you do not have an up-to-date phone, that is a risk. And I would say for us, an up-to-date phone is either a Pixel phone or an iPhone. Everything else is kind of doesn't make the line. And of course, if you're not at this level, then yeah, sure, your Samsung phone might be fine. But you have to take into consideration that there are people who are very, very patient, and they will wait for like the one time you kind of not think about something bad could happen, and this is when they strike, and this is when you're vulnerable.
And I'm going to add one thing to that, because I don't think taking those actions those are all good actions. I don't think they would have helped in this scenario. What you have to realize is that you really don't want to be using a Bitcoin wallet except the one that you trust. So to install a new app, that's probably what the compromise point was. So we don't want to be installing any other apps from people. I had somebody send me an email today. It had an attachment. I replied to him. I said, I don't open attachments. So we just have to be really staunch about the things that we interact with the people who send us. I think in this case, we have our Bitcoin wallet. We use that. We never use a different wallet. So you go to a conference and they want you to install some wallet. Nope. Or you go to a particular checkout and they say, oh, you need to have this wallet or this account. No, that's not how Bitcoin works. Okay. Bitcoin wallets are interoperable, and you want to be using the one that you trust at all times. So I'm going to throw it here to Ali. Did you have a question or two for us in all this?
Yes, I did. I wanted to also add to this segment of the call. The second mistake that I would have made was, I believe, when you make something like this public and you become the victim, as you guys mentioned, you're very vulnerable at that time, and you have this feeling of, you want people to feel sorry for you, and you want somebody to help you. You do this as a desperation of help. Perhaps that could be one route. And obviously, you guys were recommended to us through somebody that we trusted, but a lot of people could reach out to you, saying, extending their helping hand, and then they could just drop you in a worse situation. So, and that's something you guys told me, as we were discussing in our first conversation, that people might reach out, trying to help, but you got to be very cautious with who you share what information. Maybe the same attackers want to get more information, and you know
No, that's a great point. A lot of people have this experience. They'll go into a Telegram group. They're looking for help, and they immediately get people who are DMing them directly saying, "Hey, I can help you." And most of the time, that's a scammer. So when you go public, when you make yourself vulnerable and you're looking for help, that's the time when you get scammed again. So that's an excellent point, Ali. Now we're going to wind this down here, and basically, in the end, really what we're doing, these funds are gone. There's not much we can do. We brought attention to the issue. We brought attention to some wallets that we don't think should be recommended at all. And I just want to give the floor, maybe Alejandra, one more time, talking about this charity, because we have the ability to regenerate these funds. Urban and I have left a donation. We've started the process, and we hope that people will send some funds to this charity. And Alejandra, just one more time, talk about the fund, how people can donate to it.
Yes, we made the Geyser Fund account where we have the project there of House of Life to get the funds. Well, I think you guys will put the link, right? Because I might.
Absolutely. Yes, we will have the link there. Yeah.
And thank you so much for all the support that you have gave us. And yes, the link, okay, will be with you guys. And also it's in my tweet where I'm explaining everything what happened with Atomic Wallet. And these funds will be for the charity. And well, I hope we can make also more projects in the future to raise more funds for this charity, not only this loss, for sure. And this charity is in San Salvador, El Salvador, and I've been with them a couple of months ago. And well, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message on my X is Miss Bitcoin under dash SV.
And again, just send a few sats their way. Together, we can regenerate these funds and make it so this loss never happens. So thank you all.